So, Ted, I hear you've recently taken your players to the Beard Dimension.
I did in my Untraditionally Arcane, my All Wizards game. We went there.
Well, Ted, perhaps it's time to let our viewers explore the Beard Dimension in this video.
I'm Nerdarchy Ted.
I'm Nerdarchy Dave. Welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds.
Well, let's see if we can untangle a path to the Beard Dimension.
So I guess the first thing is, what is the Beard Dimension and where the heck did it come from?
So I think this is, a big thing that, wound up being created from, a random happenstance and a joke of, when you used to dye your beard and hair far more regularly, we would record our videos, but they wouldn't always be posted in the order at which they were filmed. So Tuesday your beard might look like this, but Thursday it might look like this.
Or even like a different hairstyle with my beard, like a goatee, and like because it's an old video that was like sitting around and it comes out and people are like, what's going on? And then I believe Ryan coined the phrase Beardomancy, to be honest with you. So after he did, and whenever we get those comments, I'd be like, it's Beardomancy.
So like that stemmed, okay, well, if it's Beardomancy, well then clearly there must be some way for someone to use Beardomancy.
So what we did is we took up a tried and true tradition from Dragon Magazine, which was the April Fool's episode or issue, right? Where they would take that whole issue and all the articles would have like funny connotations to them. They'd be jokes or whatever. So, for our Patreon rewards for that April, we decided we would do the Beardomancer, and we made the subclass, and there might have been some other things in there as well. And that's where it kind of started. And then like you and Doug really leaned into the joke. So for the next 2 years, in April, it would be more Beardomancy and beard-related products.
So I mean, we'll get into those. But to me, I feel like if we're gonna create something, even if something is a momentary in jest, like it can be a joke that's then taken to, well, this is got layers of seriousness, and I've leaned very heavily into it. In fact, at the time that we're recording this, tomorrow's game, I'm playing a fighter with Beardomantic abilities. We have, in the Tuesday night game that we just finished, Doug was playing a Shaggy Soul Sorcerer. So we've got an aspect of all 12 classes who have, beard and hair related character abilities.
Everything but the Artificer, because I don't think we can do anything with the Artificer. That is not in the DM's guild. So yeah, so there's definitely that. And those later products is kind of what fueled the Beard Dimension, because I don't think we touched on the Beard Dimension at all in the first product. It wasn't until the later products that we really go, well, wait a minute, maybe there's a whole Beard Dimension. Now, if you're interested in these and you want to add them to your game, one of our viewers recently made the purchase of all the Beardomantic products that we have. We have a whole Beardomantic trilogy really over on the website in the store, which I'll put a link down in the description so you can check that out if you like. And they were talking about using it in conjunction with Acquisitions Inc. book. So I feel like those themes and flavors would, flow together really nicely.
I would completely agree. But hey, you're looking for another way to kind of help out the channel for us to keep making videos like this, as well as all the awesome content over on nerdarchy.com. Why not come check us out on Patreon and support us over there?
As a special thank you, receive 5e content for both players and DMs alike. We make magic items that we sometimes turn into print and play cards. We build drop-in encounters for your game. We're making spells, feats, subclasses, races, you name it. We're probably making it over there. Even a chance to game with Nerdarchy. There will be a link in the description. There will be a card up here that you can check out a free Patreon download sampler to see what it is that we're doing over on Patreon. So Ted, how did you use the Beard Dimension in your game?
So I've kind of taken this as a thing from you about not always ending, but frequently ending with, you don't know what's going to happen next. And in my one session, I had characters, they were teleporting away from, their previous location, and everything went black. So we kind of left it mid-teleport. And I didn't know, like I had planned that at least once throughout the course of the game, something was going to go awry. And there's reasons for it that I can't divulge here. But, magic has gone awry in this game, and that's, going to happen. And even with consumable magic items, perhaps there's things that happened. So when we picked back up, especially because one of the characters was unable to make that session, I was like, all right, we're going to have less players. Let's go do something that's a little bit more wonky and fun. And I'm like, well, we haven't really explored the beard dimension. I was talking to you and Doug, and beyond the little bit that's just mentioned of the throwaway line of power from the beard dimension, nothing has been explored. Everything has come from the beard dimension to the prime material. I'm like, great, I can have some fun and go in this direction. So the teleport went awry. The person who cracked the teleportation stone, they wound up floating off, and the four of them were just like trailing behind and slowing down and slowing down. So they wound up almost like portholes in a ship. They were seeing these circles that were leading to a variety of places. Well, in that game, the one character, Jake, is playing a Beardomancer. So I took some agency, had permission from the player, and his beard reaches out and grabs hold of one of these portholes and pulls them into the beard dimension, and they land, and of course all the ground is like hair, and the landing gets chaotic and confused and causes chaos of what should be nice and brushed out and pristine.
I think I think that's great, because I was wondering, I was like, I wonder what exactly Ted did with the beard dimension, because I'm thinking for grassy plains, I'm thinking they'd be tall, beard hairs just standing up waist high or whatever, and the ground where it's supposed to be grassy or mossy would just be matted beard hair. So I started thinking about things like that. So what kind of things did they encounter in the beard dimension?
So I thought, what would trees look like? So the trunks of the tree was basically like a rooted braid. And then as it stretched out almost like a willow tree. So the loose hairs would just kind of be blowing in the breeze, just enough not to get tangled amongst themselves any more than a tree branches would. But in the first product, we've got the Hirsute Horrors, which I thought, that would be a nice challenge to really, push at them to be like, okay, maybe this is beyond the combat abilities, and it might be something that, the Beardomancer might have knowledge of, because number one, Jake's got the products because he's playing a Beardomancer, and two, because he is a Beardomancer. So it's like, all right, these ones, at least from the beard dimension, I kind of took a nod from the Codex Alera series with the keepers that want to keep the wax pristine. The Hirsute Horrors were doing the same, but with the hair. And because the characters messed up the hair, and because they all had to make charisma saving throws to see how well their appearance survived the transition into the beard dimension, I was attacking only the characters who failed that saving throw because their hair was messed up. And then I had prepped for an NPC to come in at round 3 who, number one, could heal, but also knew enough to get them to fix their appearance if need be. But thankfully, the players picked up on what was, being laid down and were able to correct their appearance before they got their asses kicked.
Stop! We have our second Kickstarter ready to go. Check the link in the description.
Add 250 magic item tarot card to your gaming resources right now.
Mageforge are magic items from our very own games and minds ready to use in your game.
So check it out, back it, follow it, whatever it is that you need to do.
And get on that list. Stay nerdy. So no NPC.
Well, the NPC did show up, but it was just a social encounter and was able to explain what was going on. But they were a beauty domain cleric and a wigwalker ranger.
Oh, those were the NPCs?
No, it was one NPC who was
okay.
who covered both roles. So it was walking around with its essentially pet wig.
Nice, as you do.
As you do in the beard dimension. I mean,
Are there any other side effects of going to the bearded dimension, like maybe growing a beard?
So like that could have been an aspect. There was a pool that, they could have, gotten access to, depending upon how much they wanted to explore. But anyone who wants to draw power from there can do so. And we hold true to like the old dwarven mythos that some female dwarves have beards. A beardomancer wizard, of course, across any race can grow a beard.
Race or gender, yeah.
Race or gender, sorry.
Part of being a beardomancer is having a magnificent beard.
So the actual NPC that I used was female and did have a goatee that was like, put down into a nice fine braid that left about 3 inches. So it was definitely interesting to be like, okay, well, let's see how they respond to this. And I mean, even in our Beardomancy product, some of the art that we commissioned actually has an elven female with got a super long wizard's beard. So
yeah, so Ordo Wonderbeard is your Beardomancer?
Ordo Wonderbeard, yep, yeah. And he is absolutely fabulous.
How did that character respond to finding themselves in the source, kind of like the source of all their power, the weird dimension?
He was tickled pink. He could not have been happier. And as I began explaining things, you could just see the smile creep across Jake's face. It's like, he knows where this is and what's going on. So it was definitely a lot of fun.
How did the other players take it?
Well, I mean, I'm fortunate enough to play with a great cast of characters, and they, in typical adventurous fashion, they don't fully understand the beard dimension, but obviously this is a place that Ordo is drawing power from, probably shouldn't be trifled with, and they got to explore and have some fun in the beard dimension and see some weird and wondrous things.
Well, clearly the Hairsuit Horror is a danger of the beard dimension. Did they encounter anything else?
So I've become a big proponent of player agency, and since the beard dimension hadn't really been fully developed yet, I wanted the first players to go there to have a little bit of a hand in creating more stuff for such a place. So I gave them 4 days of travel, and each of the players got to say what transpired on that day. So they developed, lamp lice of, these glowing, like almost pack animals that, other characters were using to pull a wagon, and it basically glue in like a 5-foot radius. So that was kind of an interesting aspect. One of the players wound up saying, oh, well, what about this? And everything they described seemed very similar to something that we had already created. So I was like, well, that's this. And as soon as I, began saying that, the Beardomancer was like, we don't want to go anywhere near it. Because it was, well out of their power range. So they kind of did a sneak challenge to get by it.
What was that?
Was it the Crinus Spinner?
Okay.
It's like a challenge 12, and they're like 5th level.
Yeah.
So they certainly are not looking to go down that road. And then, of course, the end, they actually wound up meeting a beard dragon. So
not a bearded dragon, but a beard dragon.
A beard dragon, especially with Fizzbands, opening up the range of how many more dragon types and even more in Strixhaven. I'm like, you know what?
You need another.
Why not have a beard dragon and, have some fun with it? Clearly, it's not going to enjoy fire because it's, very hairy, but why not?
What is the beard dragon's breath weapon?
Oh, we didn't get to see that part, so that might have to be a whole nother video.
Maybe nothing next. You have to wait for next April to see what Ted comes up with. So with that, we have a bunch of stuff that is in the Beardomancy products, as you mentioned. Like we have at least one subclass for every character class. There's magic items.
Indeed, I'm gonna pull out my cheat sheet here. So Beardomancy has 2 feats, 11 spells, 4 magic items, the wizard subclass, 13 new items, and a monster. Bad Hair Day has the College of Style and Design for the Bard, Circle of Locks for the Druid, Main Knight for the Fighter, Wig Walker for the Ranger, the Crinus Spinner for the Warlock, 1 new magic item, 1 new tool set, 3 new items, and 16 spells. And then for Hairable ideas, we've got the Barbarian for the Barbarian, the Beauty Domain for the Cleric, Way of the Gorgon for the Monk, Oath of Vanity for the Paladin, the Weaver for the Rogue, and the Shaggy Soul Sorcerer. 8 new magic items, 1 new monster template, 1 new monster, 12 new spells, those are the products we have over on the website. But there's 11 posts at the time of recording this to further expand the Beardomancy dimension. And then as I kind of mentioned, I'm going to be playing a main knight fighter, and I got permission from the GM to kind of make another Beardomantic magic item that I'm going to be using. It's basically a +1 weapon with just some extra, pizzazz for my character. But
does it allow them to bedazzle their hair?
No, basically, with Jake's game, I play a barbarian usually, and the barbarian cousins are always in combat being coated in gore and viscera and whatever have you. And because I'm playing another fightery type character, I'm like, all right, I want to go in another direction. So while wielding this item, his hair will always be in pristine condition.
Immaculate, as it should be.
As it should be. So his long black hair and his big thick mutton chops will always be clean.
Yeah, we'll also have to get some links down in the description to the articles. So if you want to check out and explore more of the Beard Dimension for free, you can do that over on the website. What do you think? Is this too ridiculous for your game, or is it right up your alley? Let us know in the comments below.
While you're down there, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Even go ahead and attune to that notification bell. You know the drill.
Quick reminder, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we drop new videos here on the channel, so come on back. But you can't wait till then? Don't worry, we got you covered. We have another video basically about campaign ideas. It's D&D campaigns, how to begin them and end them.
So until next time, stay nerdy.